This video I'm going to talk about how I've handled personal friction while being in the Air Force. If you know me, and most of you don't know the real me, I'm a very laid back person. Maybe I come across that way, maybe I don't. But that is me. I'm very laid back. And I've learned over the years, especially 20 and a half years of being in the Air Force, that you do have to speak your mind tactfully when needed. And you also should know me when you should just keep your mouth shut. I think it's easier for me to act professional at work and then maybe act in a negative way at home. And I don't mean that as like that's how it is. But for example, in a personal relationship, you feel more comfortable even when you mess up with your actions, whether it's a verbal action. At work, in the military, if you do that, you're not going to last long. So I have a very few examples that I'm going to share with you of friction. One of them, I was a senior airman. I was a firefighter still, and there was a tech sergeant. And as we're walking by each other, I didn't know him other than he was a sergeant in the Air Force, and he was on the other shift. And we had a disagreement. He asked me about something, but I wasn't really sure where he was coming from because I didn't really interact with this guy, and he just went off on me. And that really caught my attention because I wasn't used to that. It's kind of like that golden rule, treat people the way you want to be treated, but some people don't do that. And at the same time, over the years, I've acted in a way that I shouldn't have, whether it's at home, whether it's with friends, whether it's wherever that may be. So I don't come across, or I don't want to come across as an individual who's always doing the right thing or who's always done the right thing. That was one. When you become a supervisor in the military, you have to act professional, consistent, tactfully, and the list goes on and on. And that's very important that you do that. You're going to get respect that way, which is good because that's earned respect. When I was in an office, I'm not going to say which office, I used to supervise 4 people. And there was one individual in between those 4 people rank-wise. You had staff sergeants, a master sergeant, and another sergeant right in the middle. And I observed things that this person was doing, and I said, I have to address it with everybody. In fact, I'm going to do a feedback with everybody, and I'm going to have the supervisor there as well. So I definitely have to be professional, consistent, and everything that I've said. So I did it. I did all the feedbacks with everyone. And then I did the last one, and I had a list of 10 items that I was going to share with this person. But I said, I can't do that. I'm going to share maybe 4. And I think this person's going to get the clue as to where I'm coming from and what my expectations are. But not knowing what was going to happen, this person started to challenge every single thing that I brought up. And here's the way I see it. When my boss is giving me feedback, whether he or she is wrong, I'm going to take it. If my boss is wrong or inaccurate, at the end I'm going to say, can I speak now? And I'll share what's on my mind. That's what I've learned. But I'm not going to challenge everything that my boss is saying, especially if my boss is correct. That was an example, and that's exactly what happened. How many of those things do you think I shared? Out of those 10 things, the answer is I went and I shared all 10 examples. All of those observations that I had seen, I shared with this person. At the end, this person was crying, and that wasn't my intention. It's not to do that. It's not to humiliate people. But at the same time, in the military, you have to be consistent. The expectations are clear. If they're not, they should be. And you have to follow those guidelines. What I'm talking about is something that I have to do myself. If my boss gives me clear expectations, I'm going to do that. And that's what I've learned over the years. Now, I'm going to give you an example of me being an Air Force civilian. And one of the things that I loved when I was a civilian is I would always dress up professionally. Always, every day, Monday through Friday. On Fridays, we could wear jeans. So I would wear jeans, but I'd wear a nice shirt or a sweater and look professional. And one time, we had a snow delay at work where there was a class that was going to start at 8. Anytime that happened, everything is delayed 2 hours. I was the first one to get to work, so I opened the door. I'm a civilian, and a few people come in. Everybody's asking, what time does it start? I answer the questions. The phone is ringing at the front counter of my job, so I'm answering the phone and talking to people at the same time. At that point, I don't have time to really caress someone's feelings and and spend extra time with them because I have a lot of people I have to deal with until I get more help from work. There was one individual. My observation of this guy is I greeted him, I told him what time the class was going to start, and then in the hallway, on the other side of the hallway, outside of our center, there was a soda machine that this person bought a soda machine, but he had kind of a nasty attitude, like he was inconvenienced. And I think that's what it was. So he approached me and said, your soda dispenser is dispensing warm sodas. Obviously, I knew what he was talking about, but my reply to him, I gave it back to him, was, we don't have a soda machine. He didn't like that. And I said, what I've seen before is people, if the money is taken from that machine, they put a sticky note on there with their name and number, and then when the soda people show up, whether it's once a week or whenever it was, they'll call these people to give them a refund. I gave him a sticky. He didn't like that. But he didn't say anything other than I just noticed the body language, and maybe he noticed the body language with me as well, because I'm sure what he was giving, so was I. And that's not a good thing. That's what I've learned. Long story short, this person wrote a 2-page critique of myself and gave it to my boss at the time. And then my boss approached me and said, okay, Hugo, what's your side of this? When my boss approached me at the time, it's not my current boss, I felt like he wasn't giving me the benefit of the doubt, so I had to explain myself. I read the letter, very long, which was 2 full pages, and it's one of those things that I asked my boss, can I make a copy of that? And my boss said yes. I made a copy, and I still have that letter as a reminder of what I don't want to do. In other words, I don't really want to give it back to them. If they're wrong, they're wrong. I'm going to do the best where I don't let that affect me. My supervisor at that time said, if you ever have a problem like this again, call me and I'll handle it. And there was another example. In 8.5 years that I worked there, it happened twice, but the second one wasn't that big of a deal. I said, you know what? Let me have our director speak with you. I called my director and he took care of it. So in 20.5 years of the Air Force, from active duty to reserve to civilian, I have not had a lot of friction, but I want you to remember that it can change in one single day where you have a bad day or they have a bad day and something happens. What I've learned is be consistent, be professional, speak my mind, and expect that from others as well. Because I'm a very laid-back person. I love to joke around. But at the same time, I'm at work for the main reason, which is to get the job done. And I don't have time for distractions. Does that mean distractions will not come just because I don't have time? Absolutely not. Distractions will come, or unprofessional people, or things that we don't like, but we just have to deal with them. That is something that we are in control, and we should remain in control of our day, of our moment. Don't let anybody mess up our moment or day. And that goes for home as well. For me, it's a lot easier to do this at work because there are no ties, there's no connections other than in the moment. And at home, it's a little bit different. If I have to call out my wife about something, I can do it, but it's a little bit tougher for me, but I still have to do it. Hope you've enjoyed this. Think about it, where you are. What do you want to change? Remember, I'm a human resource person, which I love people, but there are some people that I just don't do well with, and that's far few in between. Have a great day.